Hello, viewers. Welcome to another edition of Football Discussion Daily. I'm your host, CGO. Today, my partner Joe is unavoidably absent, but we have to continue with the program. So, today in the news, we have Marco Silva. After spending 5 years with Fulham, he will be leaving the club. He has gotten an offer with Benfica, so he's the man that will be replacing Jose Mourinho, who has left Benfica to join Real Madrid. Marco Silva has signed a 2-year contract with an option of an additional year. So that is the news. And those who are being tipped to take over the job at Fulham, now that there is a vacancy there, is the coach of Ipswich Town, the man who qualified Ipswich Town back to the Premier League. That is Kieran McKenna, and the former coach of Brentford and Tottenham, Thomas Frank. So that is the latest news in the world of football. Today, our focus will be on the World Cup. Remember, we are doing a countdown to the World Cup. The World Cup is getting very close. The World Cup will start on June 11. So we are trying to count down on each group. Today, we'll be looking at Group F, where we have Netherlands. They call them the Orange. That is the nickname of the team, the Dutch national team. And then in that group, we also have the Japanese national team. In that group, they call them the Samurai Blue. That is the nickname of the Japanese national football team. We also have Sweden in that group, and then we have the Eagles of Carthage, that is Tunisia, in Group F. So we'll be talking about the Netherlands when it comes to the Dutch national team history at the World Cup. The Dutch national team have been very, very unfortunate when it comes to the World Cup, because they've been to the World Cup on I think this time is going to be their 12th appearance at the World Cup. But out of this period, they have played in 3 finals, and unfortunately, they couldn't win any of those finals. In 1974, according to the record books, the World Cup hosted by West Germany, the Dutch national team, then we had the likes of Johan Cruyff, who were very, very instrumental in the Dutch team then getting to the final. They took an early lead in that World Cup, and then the West German team came back from behind to defeat the Dutch national team 2-1. And then in 1978, they got to the final for a second time consecutively, losing to the host nation, Argentina, by 3-1. So what it means is that the first 2 finals they got to at the World Cup in 1974 and 1978, they lost both finals to the host nations. And then the third time they got to the final of the World Cup was in 2010. I'm sure a whole lot of people will still remember players who represented the Dutch national team in the 2010 World Cup hosted by South Africa. We had the likes of Wesley Sneijder, the likes of Arjen Robben, the likes of Van Persie, who were the key players in that team. Unfortunately, they lost to the Spanish national team 1-0 in the final. That goal, I remember, was an extra time goal by the man they called Andres Iniesta. That was one wonderful Spanish team that really played very beautiful football at that competition. So the Dutch national team have made it to 3 World Cup finals without winning any. And this time around, they'll be making their 12th World Cup appearance. And we are hoping that they will be able to at least put up a good fight this time around and be able to go far in this competition. Remember, in the last World Cup hosted by Qatar, they were knocked out by the Argentine team in the quarterfinals. I remember that game went into extra time, and then they played a penalty shootout, which the Argentine team won. So this time around, the Dutch team are back to the World Cup, and the likes of Virgin van Dijk, who will be playing for the national team, will have the likes of Frankie de Jong in this team. We'll be having players like Memphis Depay play. The likes of Mickey van der Veer, who plays for Tottenham Hotspur, will be in this team. Denzel Dumfries, who plays for Inter Milan. Now we are hearing that he might likely move to Real Madrid. And then Jurien Timber, who plays for Arsenal. We know he has been out for some time, but I remember he came on as a substitute in Arsenal's final match against PSG in the Champions League. So Jurien Timber will be part of this team, and we are hoping to see the Dutch team compete very well at this World Cup. They are being tutored by the man called Ronald Koeman. Ronald Koeman is a very good coach, and we are hoping to see how the Dutch national team will fare in this competition. In this group, I'm expecting that based on their pedigree at the World Cup, they will be able to top this group and then possibly go far in this competition. So that's what I'll be expecting from the Dutch national team. Now we're talking about the team from Asia, the Japanese national team. Like I said earlier on, they call them the Samurai Blue. That is what they call them. And the good thing about the Japanese team is that they qualify for 8 consecutive FIFA World Cups since making their tournament debut in 1998. So they have been very consistent since 1998, qualifying for the World Cup. Unfortunately for the Japanese national team, out of the 7 World Cups that have been played by them, they've only made it to the round of 16 on 4 occasions, while they've been knocked out from the group stage on 3 occasions. So that is what has happened to the Japanese national team. This time around, they are making their 8th consecutive appearance at the World Cup, and we are hoping to see the Japanese team put up a good performance at the World Cup. They have very interesting players in their squad. They have one of their winger who also plays as a midfielder. They call him Takafusa Kubo. He plays for Real Sociedad, a very important player in the Japanese squad. And then we have the likes of Wataru Endo. Most of us know Endo. Those who follow the English Premier League, we know him as a Liverpool player, even though he's not one of the key players of Liverpool, but normally comes in as a substitute, and he's a very good player. And then they have a guy they call Ayase Oheda. He's one very dangerous striker. He plays for Feyenoord, and he was the highest goal scorer in the just concluded Dutch Eredivisie. So that tells you that he's a very good player, and he'll be leading the line for the Japanese national team at the World Cup. We must not forget about their goalkeeper, the guy they call Zion Suzuki, goalkeeper of Parma. He is the undisputed first choice goalkeeper of the Japanese national team. He'll be here to stand between the stakes for the Japanese national team, and we are hoping to see how he's going to perform for the team. They also have Takehiro Tomiyasu. Tomiyasu was once an Arsenal player. Then he suffered injury at some point. He was asked to leave the club, and then he joined Ajax. So he's currently plays for Ajax. We'll be looking forward to see how he's going to fare at the World Cup. I think there are lots of expectation from the Japanese national team at this World Cup. I think they will be aiming to see how they can at least go, I believe, surpass the round of 16, and maybe possibly their target to be getting to the quarterfinals, because the round of 16 is the best they've ever achieved at the World Cup based on history. So Japanese team has a lot they need to do if they must really get to the quarterfinals. Because at this World Cup, there's going to, after the group stage, they'll move to the round of 32, and from round of 32 they will go to round of 16, and then quarterfinals, semifinals, and then the final. So it's not going to be easy for any of the participants uh, for this 2026 FIFA World Cup. So I've talked much about the Japanese team, but one other thing I just need to mention, the Japanese team will be missing the presence of some key players who has been affected by injuries. Kaoru Mitoma, who plays for Brighton, he will be out of the World Cup because of the injury he has suffered. And then there's another guy who's called Takumi Minamino, who was once a Liverpool player but plays for AS Monaco. He's also injured. So it's not going to be, these two players will be missing at the 2026 FIFA World Cup. That is very unfortunate for the Japanese team because we know how good these two players are and what they can bring to the Japanese national team. We wish them quick recovery, even though they'll be missing the World Cup, but at least their career is also important. Their clubs, we need them to be fit for the upcoming season after the World Cup. And now we'll be talking about Sweden. Yes, Sweden will be making their 13th appearance at the World Cup. The only time, the best performance Sweden ever had was in 1958 when they hosted the World Cup. And then they played in the final against Brazil. I think that game was Brazil defeated them 5-2 in the final. So that's the best performance they've had. They've also finished in top four. I think in 1938, they finished fourth place. In 1950, they finished third place. 58, they were runners up. That was the year they hosted the World Cup and lost to Brazil. And then in the new era, the best performance they've had was USA 1994. When we had the likes of Dahlin, the likes of Kenneth Anderson playing for Sweden, they got to the semi-final and they were knocked out. And then I think they finished third place in that competition. Since then, we haven't seen Sweden really go that far at the World Cup. This time around, they will be hoping that things can really change for them. They will be banking on players like Victor Goycores, who plays for Arsenal. I think they will also be banking on Alexander Isak. Isak has been injured for some time, but later I think he came back from injury, and I'm sure the Swedish will be looking forward to see him partner very well with Goycores and lead the front line to see Sweden go far in this competition. They also have players like Antonio Elanga. Antonio Elanga plays for Newcastle. He's a very good winger, has pace, very big threat to defenders, and can make some very big impact for the Swedish national team at this World Cup. We all remember that Sweden had to qualify through the playoff for them to get to this stage. Quite remarkable for them. They'll also be banking on Victor Lindelof, who plays for Aston Villa. He was also part of the Aston Villa squad that won the UEFA Europa League finals. Remember, they defeated Freiburg in that final, 4-0. And Lindelof was part of that squad. So he's a Europa League winner. Hopefully he will carry that winning mentality to the World Cup with the Swedish national team. They also have Lucas Becker, who plays for Tottenham, very young lad who has been very, very impressive at Tottenham. These are players we'll be looking forward to see how good they will be able to perform at this coming World Cup. in USA, Mexico, and Canada. Now we'll be moving to Tunisia. Tunisia is an African team. Tunisia will be making their seventh appearance at the World Cup. Tunisia have not really advanced past the group stage, so they don't really have a good record when it comes to the World Cup. Their first appearance at the World Cup was in 1978 when they made their debut. And when you look at how far they've really fared at the World Cup, they've not really been that great. They will be hoping that this time around they'll be able to break the jinx, especially now that the number of participants at the World Cup has increased from 32 to 48. Hopefully, they will be hoping to at least go past the group stage and get possibly to the round of 32. That will be something I'm sure a lot of Tunisians will be very happy about. But again, when you look at the opponents they will be playing against, it's not going to come that easy for them because the Dutch national team, a very good side. You talk about the Japanese national team, it's a team that is very good. And then you look at Sweden. Sweden is another great side. So it's not going to be an easy one for them. They will be relying on players like Elias Sikiri, who plays for Eintracht Frankfurt, to help push this team at least to maybe the round of 32. Shikiri happens to be the captain of the Tunisia national team. They will also be banking on Annabelle Midbury, who plays for Burnley in the Premier League, though they were relegated from the Premier League, so they will be playing in the Championship. But he's a very good midfielder, and I'm sure as a creative playmaker, the Tunisia national team will be banking on his quality. They also have a very good forward who is called Elias Achori, who plays for FC Copenhagen. He's one guy that will be partnering with Enabal Medri when it comes to leading the front line of the Tunisian national team. So when you look at this group critically, if you look at maybe the records, you look at the antecedents of each of these teams in Group F, I think the way it is, I think the Netherlands will most likely finish top in Group F, and then I will put Japan to finish second, and then maybe the Swedish national team will finish third, and then Tunisia will finish at the bottom of the table. That's what I feel. But you know, in football, anything is possible. But these are my own prediction. You, our viewers, can also give us your own prediction of how each of these teams will fare at the end of the group stage. So, who do you think will finish first? Who will finish second? Who will finish third? And who will finish fourth on the table? So, and again, one question I would like to ask our viewers is, do you think Marco Silva has taken the right step by leaving Fulham to join Benfica? And then, which of these two coaches do you think will fit in well the position at Fulham? Is it going to be Kieran McKinney, or is it going to be Thomas Frank? Which of these two coaches would really be a very good replacement for Marco Silva at Fulham? Please, we would like you to share your thoughts on all these things I've talked about, and try to subscribe on our YouTube channel. Follow us on Facebook, on Twitter, follow us on the Instagram, and also on TikTok. Please share our videos, and God bless you. Take care. Bye for now.